Hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Swagkage, and today we have the best fight in Naruto. He did the worst fight in Naruto, and he covered Neji versus Naruto, and you could tell from the thumbnail that that is what he was talking about. With this one, he hasn't put anything in the thumbnail, and I'm kind of like, what is the best fight in Naruto? But then I'm like, wait, what is Swagkage going to think the best fight in Naruto is? Now, I think, if we're talking about not just a physical fight, but like the narrative and everything, like, the whole Neji Naruto thing was like, what it was trying to do didn't work. So, what did that best? And I feel like Naruto vs. Pain was good because you got two different beliefs clashing as well as the fight. Or Naruto versus Sasuke at the end of part 1, which was amazing because they spent all that time trying to get Sasuke, and then they're both going at it, they're both transforming. It impacts everything so much, and then it's what makes the Naruto Sasuke fight even better at the end of Shippuden. It's like, oh, it's this again. How's it going to turn out this time, kind of thing. So let's see what Swagkage has to say, shall we?
Hey everybody, how's it going? So last time I did this, I took a look at what I felt was the worst
a lot of
fight in
people
Naruto.
weren't happy.
At least the worst major fight in Naruto. A lot of angry comments. We're a little bit surprised that I didn't pick Sakura versus like Team Guy versus their clones. I just think that Naruto versus Neji is the worst relative to its impact. But anyway, for the sake of balance, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about what I feel is the best fight in the series. And there are a lot of popular answers to this question. The four that immediately come to mind are Gaara versus
what a fight.
Naruto versus Pain, Kakashi versus Obito, and Naruto versus Sasuke. Now, I'm going to surprise everybody again by saying that, in my opinion, the correct answer isn't any of these fights. It's Naruto versus Sasuke. Not this one, the one from part 1.
Oh, yes!
Even though I think I have a really solid case to present here, I do recognize that I'm kind of fighting an uphill battle. Maybe not. Maybe everybody actually agrees with me and I just didn't know. But as far as I'm aware, the 4 fights that I mentioned are a lot more popular than this one. And even aside from these 4, there are
all the stuff that they did.
Anytime you say
all the
one of them
clones
is the
with
best,
the standing on the wood pillars in the water,
all of these other gems. But I really do feel
breaking the water, throwing it, breaking the wood, throwing it, kind of thing.
Takes place in the Valley of the End.
Yes.
See, I also recognize that given the fact that Naruto and Sasuke have fought 2 other times, listening to me talk about this one specifically might be a bit confusing, especially because I'm going to be referencing both of these other fights at multiple points throughout the video. I guess I'll just do my best to make sure that this is as straightforward as possible and that nobody loses track of anything.
Okay.
You're smart. You'll be fine. Moving on to the actual question at hand. I kind of skirted around it for almost 2 minutes now. Why do I think this fight is so good? Well, obviously, there's a certain level of subjectivity involved in a discussion like this. Like it's going to be at least somewhat opinion-based. But on the other hand, I think the same is true, and I know a lot of people
it affects the story so much.
But still, I think the same is true for what I hesitate to call objectivity, but something to that effect. Like, of course, I don't think anything about art is completely objective. To better illustrate my point, I kind of already proved it with what I said earlier at the beginning of the video. Generally, anyway, everyone agrees that the worst fight in Naruto is one of these 2, and generally everyone agrees that the best fight in Naruto is one of these 4. But like I said earlier, there are a lot of fights in this series, and yet somehow everyone's kind of been able to narrow down the worst of them and the best of them into distinct groups of a small select few. So now the point that I've been building to is, since everyone tends to agree when a fight is exceptionally good or exceptionally bad, we can also all probably agree that there's some kind of special sauce, or maybe even some kind of special sauce is, that when you're creating a fight, you can inject the fight with that sauce to make it really good, or you can extract that sauce out of the fight to make it really bad. Obviously, the analogy is kind of a simplification, but I think you get the idea. Like, there are a lot of things that you gotta understand, that you gotta nail when crafting a good fight, and one thing that I consider pretty important to a good, memorable fight, at least one that takes place at the climax of a story, is build-up. Build-up isn't always necessary.
It's all about, we gotta save Sasuke.
But it tends to help
bring him back.
At the very least, if
but then Sasuke don't want to come back. You're like, what?
Just reaching the point where the fight takes place will be one of the most satisfying events in the entire story. Now,
and to see the good guy lose
really well, plenty of times aside from just this fight. Sasuke versus Itachi, when Madara first shows up, even the Naruto versus Sasuke fight at the end of Shippuden. Like, all of these are really good examples of this. Now, while I wouldn't go so far as to say that this fight has the best build build-up, like, out of any other fight in Naruto. It's definitely up there. It's one of the series' best examples of this, for sure. And one thing I find really cool is how its build-up is, like, kind of layered. Let me explain what I mean by that.
Okay.
This fight is kind of foreshadowed from, like, the very beginning of the series. Pretty much as soon as Naruto and Sasuke first run into each other and we see them interact, we get the sense that, okay, these two are going to have some, like, rival showdown at some point in the future, right? This is the first layer, and the second layer comes in right at the beginning of the Sasuke retrieval arc, where Naruto and Sasuke have their actual
Naruto just blows the whole water thing open.
Sasuke challenges Naruto. As a reader, it feels like you're finally going to see all that build-up from before receive a payoff. But it should be apparent from the moment Kakashi appears that this isn't their real final showdown. The series had been running for long enough up to this point. There was just no way that this fight that had been teased and foreshadowed for this long was going to end inconclusively. This is why I say the build-up is layered. Of course, each of the fight
was actually coming at some point.
At the end that it sort of establishes at the beginning of the arc and builds towards from that moment until the confrontation finally happens. In the Land of Waves, it's Kakashi versus Zabuza, and maybe sort of Naruto versus Haku. In the Chunin exams, it's definitely Naruto versus Gaara. And the Tsunade arc builds towards the three-way deadlock that happens at the end. Now, Naruto versus Sasuke is slowly teased and foreshadowed in the background while all of this is happening. But it never goes anywhere until the beginning of the Sasuke retrieval arc, where it looks like we're going to get that fight right from the beginning.
Yeah,
except this fight actually just exists to build up the real final fight, which is, of course, what this final arc builds towards. But this build-up is just a smaller part of the larger build-up towards this fight.
Is it?
Spans the entire rest of the series. It's one of those things that, like right from the moment that you start the series, you're just waiting for it to happen. And when it finally does happen, when you finally have it in front of you, it feels
satisfying.
Almost surreal. It's one of the most satisfying things ever. Like I said earlier, there are a handful of other fights that this applies to.
You want to see it, and you see it at all.
Sasuke
Wow.
versus Itachi. But one thing that I think most of the other fights in Naruto, especially all of the other ones that were built up as well as this one, lack is serious, honest tension. There's some pretty high stakes in this fight.
There
if
is!
Naruto loses, Sasuke becomes a thrall of Orochimaru. And also Naruto might die. And up to this point, the arc has been pretty depressing. Like,
each person's going down to try to beat the Sound guys.
You still expect Naruto to win. It's not like completely off the table that he might lose the fight. Granted, he's the main character,
Yeah,
so
I think he's going to win.
Armor is
It's called Naruto
than Neji's or Choji's. So I mean, like, he'll probably win, right?
Like, he's transforming into the fox and everything. It's like, it's coming out of nowhere.
And his loss doesn't come out of nowhere. It feels totally possible throughout the entire fight. I mean, it's just this constant back and forth.
Yeah, he does that.
Sasuke
He does
has
that.
the advantage. The next Naruto
Has
the
it.
advantage.
Then Sasuke's one up again,
Sasuke,
transforming.
Naruto, then by the end,
Chidori
they're both
Rasengan.
evenly matched, and it ends with this big Chidori Rasengan clash.
Bam.
It's never really clear who's going to win until the fight finally ends.
over,
You
yeah.
realize it was Sasuke. And now I don't want to give Naruto more credit than it deserves and act like this sort of thing is like revolutionary or anything. The hero losing a major battle. This sort of thing does happen pretty frequently depending on the fiction that you consume. But for a battle shonen like this, or for a lot of stories that include the hero's journey, it's rare for a character to fuck up this colossally. Like, to lose in a situation where their failure
the whole objective was getting
Sasuke.
Sasuke.
Naruto's loss in this fight is massive. The ripple
it affects the story completely,
throughout all of Shippuden.
Yep.
And again, I don't want to act like Naruto's the only series to have ever done something like this or anything. I know it's not, but I still think that it was really cool and unexpected. And like I said, it serves to enhance the fight by making things feel truly tense throughout it.
There's
Fights
a
where
lot
it's
of tension, man.
possible for the hero to lose, and the consequences of that loss are as catastrophic as these are so much more enthralling than fights where you know the outcome from the very beginning. I also really like the way this fight explores the relationship between Naruto and Sasuke.
Yeah,
as despite
emotion, man.
It clearly is.
If you're gonna fight that shows what the character's thinking,
that's,
my god.
Directly addressed ever, or really fleshed out the way it is through the dialogue they exchange in this fight. It also gives the reader a lot of insight into Naruto and Sasuke individually, not just as parts of this two-person friendship, which is something that I also really appreciate. Now, of course, there's one really obvious reason why I like this fight, and that's the action, the spectacle, the choreography, the actual fight itself. Man, so from this point forward, I'm probably completely throwing objectivity out the window. I just really like the way this fight looks, dude.
Yeah,
it's
class.
so cool. Regardless of whether you're reading the manga or watching the anime,
this was great as well.
This is such a treat to look at. There's
all the clones are just throwing each other.
Both Naruto and Sasuke throw out all sorts of
I always remember the water bit with the wood.
And then there's that final scene, you know, the one where they both stand at the bases of the statues. Sasuke charges up the Chidori Lament, Naruto charges up the Vermilion Rasengan, and then they both just fly at each other. That's one of the most iconic shots in the whole series. I really don't think there's anything wrong with this fight. I could read it or watch it a million times and not get bored. It's super cool. There's a whole lot of narrative weight, satisfying payoff to a series-long build-up. It's really everything that you could ask for in a mid-series climax. I know tons of people are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. Feel free to let me know your favorite.
I called it straight away from the beginning. This is one of the best ones.
Also, let me know if you want me to do anything like this in the future, but with different series, of course. So, like Dragon Ball, Hunter x Hunter, so on and so forth.
Yay.
Anyway, I think I've said everything I need to. So, as always, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Take care.
Yeah, bring that beat. Yeah, I love that fight. It was well choreographed. I like the anime. The anime like proper like upped the animation as well in parts, and it's just like, what's going on? Yeah, I like that. That's cool. I like that. I just randomly was like, I think that said that. Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. What did you guys think of that? What did you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already, leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch and discuss in future videos. And I'll see you guys, all you guys, next time.